AITA for refusing to host a birthday party because my nephew isn't allowed in my house. I 24F live on a 4-acre property that I bought for cheap from my grandma who moved to a retirement community. My nephew is turning 16 at the end of the month. My sister asked if we could host his party here on the family property, meaning at my house. I told her no, because my nephew is not allowed at my house. My nephew does not respect boundaries and treats everything like his plaything, including the boundaries of my older black lab, Davos. He constantly chases him around and tries to pick him up despite me telling him to constantly leave him alone. Davos has arthritis and can't be chased around and hates loud noises, which my nephew is very loud. He doesn't have any behavioral disabilities or anything, he just doesn't care about other people's wishes. My sister blew up at me telling me I was putting a dog before my nephew and it was grandma's property that I can't dictate. I told her it was my property. I bought it and tended it and pay all the bills for it. My mom called me and asked if I could just put Davos in a room during the party and suck it up for just a day. But I said no. This is his house and he's allowed to go wherever he wants and I won't shut him in a room. Now my family is divided. Some of them calling me immature and selfish and others saying I'm right, while some, including my father, refuse to get involved. Am I the asshole? Edit to add BC. I've gotten this question a couple times if the other members of the family were offered the house. My Nana and I have always had a very close relationship, and I've helped her tend the property for as long as I can remember. So she offered to sell it to me when she grew too old to tend to it herself. So no, other family members weren't given the opportunity to buy it, but they also weren't interested in it. It is very old and outdated, and my sister especially always talked about how much she hated the aesthetic of the house. The sole reason she wants to host it here is because my house has the most space. It's not a sentimental space for her. Edit. I am sorry people of Reddit for failing to provide dog tags. I don't have any recent photos of Davos that don't also include myself and my very identifiable tattoos, lol, but I'll do you one better. I present to you Baby Onion. NTA. If the almost 16-year-old wasn't a terror, this would be a non-issue. Your sister says, you're putting a dog over a person, because she knows that on the surface that would sound inappropriate or imbalanced. The real issue is that an elderly dog would not be a barrier to a party necessarily if you could trust your family members to all behave and be respectful. Kids much younger than 15 can typically manage basic rules around an old or ailing pet. And it's not your fault that he cannot. Edit. Oh, also the total assholery and entitlement of your sister expecting to be able to use your property for this party. What a trip. She sounds like she's quite an on multiple levels, including in her dismissiveness of your ownership of the property and expectations that she has access to it as if it is somehow communal, family space. Your nephew and his mother are learning that actions have consequences. Best birthday gift you could give him. NTA. NTA, but could the nephew be put in a room, lol? This sounds very familiar, as I have a beach house I inherited from my grandfather and had to take out a mortgage to pay my sister off for her share of it. To this day she still calls it our beach house, and tries to demand use of it because it belongs to the family. Every time I remind her about the enormous check I handed her and ask her if that is still our money. NTA. By 16. Your nephew should be able to follow instructions. Since your sister won't make him. He hasn't. You do not have to put your pet in a room so he can have his party there. There is no family property. Just your property. Your sis can have Damien's birthday party someplace else. NTA. My mom called me and asked if I could just put Davos in a room during the party and suck it up for just a day. But I said no. So you basically need to be the usual, bigger person, while you 16-years-old nephew can still act as a 6-years-old brat? You dog is a member of your family, so he's entitled to be respected in his own home. Your mother and your sister don't agree? Good. They can host his birthday party elsewhere. I can't stand relatives that has the family property mindset, just because it was used in the past to host family gatherings. It was your grandma's house before you bought it from her, and now it's your house only. It never was everyone's house, since their name weren't on the deed. So, you have every right in the world to stand your ground and tell them to leave you alone. Also, if they have copies of the house key, be sure to change the locks ASAP. I wouldn't trust them to not try to come uninvited and refuse to leave. NTA. A 16-year-old with no disabilities who doesn't know how to leave a dog alone. He needs to grow up. And definitely your house, not family property. So what I'm seeing is that your sister is the real red flag here. Doesn't seem like she disciplined your nephew, and now he gets to do whatever he wants. NTA. NTA. Why do people make excuses for kids acting badly? It's your house and you can't just lock an animal away all day. They need to be able to move around and relieve themselves. Your sister can host. Here's your script. No. NTA. If you suck it up, then you are basically just accepting his behavior. And we both know it won't just be this once. He is old enough to understand his behavior is wrong, and if he doesn't care, then you have no obligation to allow him into your house. So this is what becomes of those screeching 5-year-olds with no boundaries because they are so cute. And after all, they are just kids. NTA obviously. NTA. The kid is turning 16 and can't be trusted around an old dog? Stuff. For sure. Pretending your property belongs to the whole family is stuff too. So I'm not on your sister's side either. NTA. It also sounds more like the behavior of a 6-year-old than a 16-year-old. This is a 15-16-year-old? Yeah. NTA. NTA. May be a group text to mom. Sister and nephew is in order. Just a reminder. My home is not a family property. It is ridiculous to try to force me to host a party for an individual whose history has shown an inability to act their age. Makes a game of violating normal societal boundaries and due to past actions have been banned from my home. My refusal to host is solely based on nephew's past actions that I can't trust him not to repeat. NTA. It is a good moment to put your foot down and squash this family property stuff. Your sister can rent a dog-free venue, and I guess you won't be invited to the party. NTA. Your house, your rules. There's nothing more to be said. NTA. You have the right to decide what happens on your property for whatever reason. And don't you love how people who aren't paying the bills like to call it family property? NTA. 16 is too old to have spell out good behavior and the expectation of that. We learn in kindergarten it's not yours, leave it alone. We also learn to respect others, and if he can't respect your house rules and his parents did not raise him correctly to show respect for others, then that is on them. Good for you for standing up for Davos. You are his only advocate. Tell your sister had she raised him with better rules and consequences, this would not be a problem. She made her bed, now she gets to lie it in.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.